If there were an invisible ghost-like stealth fighter and a practical warrior that fights to the very end, which would you choose? This question is not a simple comparison. It is a fateful choice that will determine Korea's security and future. This is not about cheap alternatives, it is about technological sovereignty and the strategy of national survival. The United States does not share its core technologies, even with its allies. Even if you buy finished weapons, independent defense is never guaranteed. The KF-21 is a declaration we will defend ourselves, a national decision to break free from foreign shadows. Which choice would you make? A like is the lightning that engraves this decision in history, and a subscription is the signature that bears witness to this independent story.
The KF-21 is not yet complete, but incompleteness means unlimited potential. The aircraft was designed for upgrades and expansion, and its stealth, weapons capacity, and radar performance still hold vast room for improvement. Korea has already integrated its own ASA radar, long-range air-to-ground missiles, and electronic warfare systems into the jet. Since its first flight in 2022, over 100 test flights were completed by 2023, with full deployment planned by 2026. The roadmap includes engine upgrades, sustained supersonic flight, and integration with drones. Thousands of partner companies, universities, and research centers are participating, and young engineers have become the driving force of national strategy. The KF-21 is more than just a fighter jet, it is the cornerstone of Korea's aerospace ecosystem. In the future, it will fly alongside AI unmanned fighters and evolve into a command post in the sky through integration with Korea's KPS satellite navigation system. The KF-21 lays the foundation for Korea to keep pace in the race for sixth-generation fighters, where the US, Russia, and China are competing fiercely. Beyond that, the KF-21 opens doors to international joint development and is evolving into a valuable asset for Korea's technological diplomacy. What weapon will truly dominate the battlefield? A like is the siren of this challenge, and a subscription is the vow of a warrior to see it through to the end. The F-35 is the strongest in the world, but technology transfer was firmly denied. Korea purchased the aircraft, yet the right to upgrade independently was stripped away. This could become a fatal constraint in wartime. Japan's F-2 suffered delays in upgrades due to reliance on the U.S., while Europe's Eurofighter faced slow improvements caused by the complex interests of multinational cooperation. These lessons showed why Korea had no choice but to pursue an independent path. The KF-21 is more than a weapon. It is a turning point from being a parts consumer to a technology-sovereign nation. Surrounded by major powers like North Korea, China, and Russia, the need for self-reliant defense became undeniable. The KF-21 stands as Korea's shield on the peninsula and a new variable reshaping the security landscape of Northeast Asia. At the same time, defense independence means not just possessing weapons, but securing autonomy in international diplomatic strategy. The KF-21 program has also had a massive ripple effect on Korea's domestic industry, creating tens of thousands of jobs and driving the growth of advanced component sectors. KF-21, once completed, positions Korea to claim a share in the global fighter jet market projected to grow to 100 trillion won annually. Do you agree with this decision? A like is the torch, and a subscription is the witness that testifies to the end. The KF-21 is Korea's declaration of independence to the world. A nation once borrowing foreign weapons now commands the skies with its own technology. With the participation of tens of thousands of scientists and engineers, the project advanced not just one jet, but the entire defense industry. Its ripple effects extend across aerospace, satellites, and missile systems, impacting national strategy as a whole. The KF-21 is more than equipment. It is a symbol that instills pride in the people our fighters are built by us. Beyond that, it elevates Korea from a consumer to a supplier in the global arms market, emerging as a new player on the world stage. This is not merely weapon production, but a strategic legacy for national identity and future generations. Defense self-reliance is a new engine for economic growth, a historic step placing Korea among the ranks of global high-tech powers. The success of the KF-21 declared to the world that Korea is no longer an importer but a supplier of advanced technology. It also stands as a symbol of confidence for Korea's younger generation, proving that they too can achieve greatness. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments. A like is the drumbeat of this achievement, and a subscription is the messenger echoing across the world. Cost and strategy. With the cost of one F-35, Korea can secure two KF-21s. But the essence is not just a price comparison, the issue is sovereignty and choice. The F-35 boasts excellent performance, but its operations are strictly bound to U.S. systems. The KF-21, however, can be upgraded and deployed as Korea needs, in ways Korea decides. This is not about 2 versus 1, but about free will and independent strategy. The KF-21 also carries strong export potential, with nations such as the Philippines, Malaysia, the UAE, Poland, and Egypt mentioned as possible buyers. This is not merely about arms sales, it is a tool for Korea to expand its diplomatic influence on the international stage. The KF-21 drives the growth of the defense industry and elevates Korea's global standing. The emergence of a Korean-made fighter reshapes the competitive landscape of the global arms market. The KF-21 is both a proving ground for Korea's transformation from consumer to supplier and a measure of its future strategic course. If KF-21's exports begin in earnest, Korea will not remain a middle-tier power but will rise as a leading nation in the global arms market. The KF-21 is more than a source of defense revenue, it lays the foundation for an industrial ecosystem that drives the entire Korean economy. In fact, the Korean government expects over 100 trillion won in economic ripple effects, and the creation of more than 100,000 jobs by 2030 through the KF-21 project. Who do you think will be the true winner in this debate? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Relationship with the U.S. The relationship with the U.S. The United States views the KF-21 with caution, an ally yet also a competitor in the market. The U.S. treats its allies as customers, never handing over core technologies. A representative case was Turkey's exclusion from the F-35 program. When Turkey purchased the Russian S-400 air defense system, the U-SATO-S, fearing technology leaks, immediately expelled Turkey from the F-35 Joint Development Partnership, despite their alliance. Another example is Israel's negotiations over weapons. While the U.S. provided the F-35, it restricted access to certain technologies, cooperating selectively only when strategic interests aligned. Korea faced the same reality, being denied key technology transfers during the KF-21 development, and thus forced onto the path of independent development. Yet, when U.S. security interests require it, limited cooperation is offered. This contradiction reveals Korea's unique geopolitical value. The KF-21 has elevated Korea from being a mere customer to becoming a strategic actor. Within the U.S. centered order, Korea now holds a new voice. As KF-21 exports grow, Korea will emerge as a player capable of reshaping the balance of the global arms market. The KF-21 marked a historic moment, transforming Korea from a client of an alliance into a strategic partner. At the same time, it allows Korea to question how the U.S. manages its allies, creating an opportunity to seize initiative in military diplomacy. The KF-21 is no longer a secondary weapon but a core element of diplomatic strategy. Its achievements reflect not only weapon possession but also Korea's shifting status within the alliance. What do you think about this paradox? U.S. weapon strategy. For the United States, weapons have been the language of hegemony and a tool of domination. Fighter jet sales were not mere transactions but instruments of influence. By controlling technology, the U.S. limited the options of its allies and preserved the military order. A representative example is its negotiations with Saudi Arabia. While advanced fighters and missiles were sold, they were always delivered in restricted versions to maintain strategic superiority. Such control became a tool for managing alliances. The KF-21 disrupted this structure. Korea has expanded new networks of cooperation with India, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East, strengthening its arms diplomacy. Joint development with Indonesia and defense cooperation talks with the Philippines and Malaysia represent direct challenges to America's monopoly on weapons. The KF-21 is not just a fighter jet but a game-changer that enables Korea to speak with an independent voice in the global order. Korea's emergence fractures the U.S. dominated Asia-Pacific arms market and opens the possibility of forming new military diplomatic blocs. The KF-21 is no longer just Korea's fighter jet. It is emerging as a diplomatic tool that shakes the global political order. Through it, Korea is amplifying its voice on the world stage of arms diplomacy, making it not merely an export but an instrument of national strategy. The spread of the KF-21 positions Korea as a key player in the global defense market. In fact, Korea is expected to secure more than 15% of the Southeast Asian defense market share through the KF-21. Would you support this change? A like is the catalyst, and a subscription is the pledge to see it through to the end.
Why didn't the U.S. share its technology? Why did the world ultimately have to buy American weapons? These questions are the key to interpreting the global order. Technology blockades and arms monopolies were not merely industrial logic, but the core mechanisms of maintaining hegemony. The moment Korea declared technological independence with the KF-21, the cracks began to show. This was not just an arms debate, but a historic challenge to Korea's diplomatic and security sovereignty. The KF-21 became a symbol shaking national strategy and opening a new diplomatic paradigm. From now on, which alliances will Korea choose, and what international repercussions will it create? These questions are not mere curiosities, they are decisions that will determine the nation's fate. Korea must now answer. It is not merely about possessing weapons, but about how to use them. The operational philosophy of the KF-21 is directly tied to Korea's security independence. This decision, made by Korea itself, will shape the security of future generations. What is your answer? Leave it in the comments.
Historic shift. Rome ruled with legions, Mongolia with cavalry, and Britain with fleets. The modern empire is the United States, its symbols, aircraft carriers, nuclear weapons, and the F-35. Weapons have always been the tools that built and sustained empires. The KF-21 is Korea's declaration not to be subordinate to this order. Korea has become not just a consumer, but a creator. Yet this transformation does not end with comparisons to past empires. Today, Korea faces the direct threat of North Korea's nuclear arsenal. Meanwhile, China is deploying its J-20 stealth fighters in large numbers to dominate Northeast Asia's skies, and Japan is pushing forward with its FX next-generation fighter program to reclaim technological superiority. In 2017, the North Korean nuclear crisis, in 2020, the deployment of China's J-20, and in 2022, Japan's FX fighter program revealed the harsh reality Korea faces. Amid these threats, the significance of the KF-21 grows even greater. The KF-21 is more than a symbol, it functions as a real tool for survival and deterrence. It is a signal flare of Korea's rise from the limits of a small nation to a leading power, securing strategic equality in the international community. Korea has become a nation that speaks and a nation that reshapes order. The KF-21 shifts the balance in Northeast Asia and sends ripples through the global security order. Its emergence disrupts the historical monopoly of weapons by empires, while simultaneously serving as a practical response to present threats. Korea stands at the center of this transformation. Furthermore, the KF-21 demonstrates Korea's potential to become an architect of 21st-century military diplomacy. The KF-21 may be remembered as the second declaration of independence in Korea's modern history, restoring true sovereignty. Do you believe Korea's voice should resonate across the world? A like is the echo, and a subscription is the force that amplifies it.
The KF-21 is Korea's survival strategy and a symbol of sovereignty breaking through technological blockades. But this conclusion leaves a new question: how did the United States build an empire through weapons? This question foreshadows the challenges Korea will face. The story of the KF-21 is not merely about the development of a fighter jet, it is the struggle of a nation defying the order of empires. In the next episode, we will explore how the United States came to dominate the world through weapons. This will mark the beginning of the American History series. A like is the flare that signals this turning point, and a subscription is the bridge to the next story. Act now. Korea's challenge does not end here.
History is rewritten by the decisions of those prepared.